What is going on, guys? Welcome back. Commentary for you. I don't know how to collect my thoughts on this, but I'm going to try. Okay, this is Jovan trying to bring JML into the community last year. Understand that when Jovan did this, he was fully aware of what JML had done in his past. For some reason, the past 24, 48 hours, I've heard so much about Mike Vick and JML Flow. JML Flow does not understand Gorlworld exists. Mike Vick does not understand Gorlworld exists. Period. Do we not have enough to talk about with Jovan? Need I remind you, Jovan came online, was angry that his neighbor had planned a funeral for their cat. Jovan then later said he had kicked the cat and that he planned on digging it up to throw it away because that's how he felt a pet should be treated. But you want to talk about people that aren't in the community. If anyone in this community had done anything remotely similar to that, Jovan would have streamed for hours and hours and hours. Jovan's response to this is that he was a practicing comedian. Well, the reality is those clips were from when Jovan was in his late 30s. Jovan's stand-up comedy career, which consisted of going to open mic nights, was well before that. So, again, why are we bringing up things when we're not addressing what happened? Now, secondarily, when we talk about the situation with JML Flow, I have heard so many people say, I can't listen to it. It's too hard for me to hear the dog. You know what? I'm sorry. It's difficult for me to listen to. It was difficult for me to edit, but it's what happened. And you had no issues taking this person's lies and running rampant through the community, giving him super chats and memberships. But now that you've seen the person he is, well, now no one wants to sit there and listen to that. Now, again, we're going to talk about Mike Vick instead. You don't have enough to talk about listening to Jovan imitate, mock, and hysterically laugh at a dog, as he describes, struggling, taking its last breath. You don't have enough to talk about when you hear Jovan years later say, well, that was just a sound bite in a video game. That was a soundboard that he had. That was just his dog walking around. You want to talk to me about other things. Jovan would not have wanted to talk about other things. So, Chantal, when you sit here and you say, I want to give my honest opinion on the whole Yo Mama thing, you don't have an honest opinion to give. When you sit there and say, I appreciated him calling out the hypocrisy of Gorlworld, I think what you meant to say is, I finally had someone on my side that was as ignorant as me. You sit there and say, I agree with him on a lot in terms of his views. And then you go on to say, I don't believe he deserved to lose his channel. Well, I'm glad you feel that way. We all do. He deserved to have that channel stay up so that people could document the type of person he was. But Jovan didn't do that. He removed his own channel. So if you have a problem with him, quote, losing his channel, Chantal, take that up with him. He is the one that removed it. Maybe you can do that on the podcast you, him, and Amber want to do. You sit there and say he was creative, he was funny. He was less vile than most other reactors in Gorlworld. Then Chantal, sit down and watch him talk about kicking that cat. Because I recall how you felt about someone else in this community kicking a cat. And I would love to know why you don't have the same feelings about Jovan as you did that person. Because they're both terrible people. So when you say that you're not simping, that you weren't friends or anything, you're going to have to help me better understand your opinion. You go on to say if his channel is gone, then some others on this platform, I suppose, should be as well. Well, every one of us can do what Jovan did, Chantal. We could sit here in private videos, delete things. We chose not to. Now, this is where, again, a lot of you don't know, and it's not your fault, but the topic for some reason is changing. So Chantal, when you say apparently, Yaba admitted to calling his wife. Imagine being that loser who calls someone's family. I am so glad that you said that, Chantal. Because when you want to talk about that loser, guess who you're talking about? Jovan. Jovan went real life more than anybody I've ever known. Talk about J Mel? Well, Jovan contacted J Mel's mother to do interviews on his YouTube channel. Jovan contacted the mother of J Mel's child to do interviews. As a matter of fact, Jovan admitted that he was okay with J Mel over the dog situation. It was only when J Mel found out that Jovan was contacting the mother of his children that they had a falling out. So let me make sure, this is not just Chantal, by the way. This is some of you in the community. You're okay with Jovan reaching out to the parent of a child or the mother of a creator. But if Yaba reaches out to the mother of a child or the wife of a creator, well, that's totally different. Help me understand. I'm asking you. Help me understand how that's different. Oh, I know why. Is it different because Jovan recorded those conversations so that he could put them up as interviews on his channel? Because Yaba didn't do that. She certainly could have, and I would argue would probably have gotten quite a bit of views. So when you say, Chantal, that, people have thin skin, that they can dish it but can't take it, what are you referring to? And if that's pathetic and that's a win, what is a loss? So your concern is that his wife didn't watch his YouTube channel. I don't believe that she did. You go on to talk again about family, right? Does your family know you're bullying other women every morning? Well, Chantal, that's subjective. Really is. And then here we go into the whole allegations, right? You believe that he was just making tasteless jokes. You have no proof of this. I know that people are trying to locate Jovan's neighbor, and I'm sure he is terrified of this. And then you want to say, I don't care if you hate me for saying this. Of course, Chantal, you don't care if anyone hates you for anything that you do. That's your belief. You think reactors felt threatened by him calling us out. And we started a campaign of digging in his past to try to cancel him. Let me peel back the onion. Okay, Jovan loves to talk about this phone conversation we had not too long ago. In that phone conversation, I told Jovan that he needed to stop dancing around the line. I reminded Jovan that I know a lot about him. And if he wanted to continue to sit there and lie about my life, then sooner or later, he was going to start to have ramifications for that. Now, a lot of you probably don't realize this, but there was a slow escalation with me. Right? I started with just Tippy. Right? Tippy, Tippy, Tippy. Some of you took Tippy and ran with it. And Jovan probably should have said, hey, this person that knows a lot about me is starting to cover my content. He's kind of made a little nickname for me. Maybe I should probably just chill out before this goes any further. And then I started to call him Jovan. At that point, he should have said, well, he went from calling me by my nickname to calling my real name. Maybe I should stop lying. And then I told Jovan the gloves were off. He at that point probably should have sat back and said, you know what, I've got it pretty good. This is the most successful my channel's ever been. I can fire up a live stream, get 300-400 people in here. I've got pets giving memberships away all day. I should probably just keep my mouth shut. But he didn't. He didn't. He had to bring up my family. He had to sit there and say that my father had the career that I had. He had to go and bring up that reaction channels were like David Katz. Reaction channels were like someone that did a national tragedy. That was when you signed it, Jovan. That is when you were done. There was no turning back. And then you got online, You drank for about 2.5 hours straight, and you told me that I don't have any right to feel any type of way at that incident. When you know full well, one of my friends that I still talk to this day, that I'm currently working on a video game with, was wounded in Jacksonville. But I never talked about that because these things don't belong here. Jacksonville landing incident, Mike Vick, J Mel, they never did. You are the one that brought them here, Jovan. I am the one that exposed you for bringing them here. So when you sit here and you say that people dug in his past, no one dug in his past. I just showed you his past. And I'll do one more video. When you sit here and you say, oh, you're going to cancel over things that would cause outrage like they do to me all day. Sincerely, Chantal, you've done none of these things. You've done none of these things. Oh, no, that's right. You've done all of these things. You mocked a national tragedy. You actually mocked two of them. You did go on and talk about putting your cat in a bag and in a wood chipper, and you did make fun of animals that, you know what, never mind. You're right. So when you sit there and say that, you felt he had been taking money from other people, he had been. Right? He was a massive hypocrite. He sat there and talked so negatively about the local universe. But then when they came to him with $1,000, he took it and ran. When they asked him what he would do if his daughter came home with someone like Boogie, well, he said he would just disown her. That's all you're going to say? You're not going to watch anything about it because you don't want to see the truth? Quite frankly, you're going to ignore it? Well, Chantal, I don't know if that's going to be possible. This is an open invitation to every single creator in this space. You sit down, you watch those videos that I did. And to close this out, so many people said to me, why did you call him a demon? Why did you call him a demon? Well, see, again, that was kind of another little subtle nod to Jovan where he should have known. In Madden, he used to tell everybody that he was a demon, that he was on demon time, that nobody liked him because he was a demon. Well, found out that in Gorlworld, people don't like demons all that much. Love to know your thoughts on this. Appreciate you watching it. Be back as soon as I can with more commentary.